Hello everyone and welcome to Paradise Revisits. Today I am looking at SimCity, a game that was originally released in 2013 and we're going to explore the changes and updates and patches that have been applied to the game since launch to determine if it's worth revisiting. So, some of you will remember SimCity from launch. The major feature of this game was that there was an online-only requirement right out of the box. Together with Diablo 3, it was one of the first AAA games to do that, and accompanying that were massive issues on day one. Many people could not log in to play the game at all. There weren't enough servers available. There were massive server queues. Even if you managed to get into the game, it would randomly kick you out or disconnect you at start, and these issues went on for days. It was probably not until week 2 or week 3 that the game became stable enough to play reliably, and even then that was after some excessive hacking from the developers. They literally took out the fastest game mode to accelerate time, which is quite important when you're developing a city, because they said that the fastest game mode put too much load on the servers. As a result, a lot of players were very unhappy with this game at launch. It promised so much, and in their eyes, including myself, it didn't really deliver on it. As well as the online-only requirement, there are some deeper issues with the game to do with the way that it simulates your city. So people expected a detailed economic, commodity, jobs, traffic, employment, life simulator, and on the surface it appears to deliver that, but after you've played the game for a while and you follow some of the individual citizens, what you realize is that the simulation is a lot shallower than you were originally led to believe, and we'll explore that a little bit through the video. Now, there have been some major changes to this game since launch. One of the biggest changes, as you can see on the screen here, is there is a single player offline mode. So finally, long after the fact, they've recognized that this was a major breaking game mode for many people, and they added in an offline single player mode. So that's what we're going to be using. Let's see if that has fixed anything, or if it's... yeah, let's just have a little explore. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have spent about 8 to 10 hours just playing this over the last few days to get familiar with the changes and experiment about what's been fixed and what hasn't been fixed. So I've got a couple of cities going in a single player region. What I might do, however, is start a new town in the existing region so that we can go through the start process, and then maybe we'll jump into the towns that I've built already so we can explore some of the issues that only come up later on in the game. Okay, so here we have a region that I've spent the last 8 to 10 hours just playing in the last couple of days to get a bit of a feel for how the game works. We'll jump into this particular city here, and then what we might do is, after a quick look around, we'll jump out and create a new city and see how that works. Okay, so here is my city. This is about 8 to 10 hours old, so it's reasonably well developed. There is not a whole lot of space left, just this space here which I have been desperately trying to keep clear for future buildings that are going to come up and are going to demand significant green space, like I've just added this consumer electronics factory. Now, I've observed a lot about the simulation from playing this city, but what I might do is firstly just jump out to the region view and start a new city over here. So one of the things you'll notice if you are used to playing this online is how incredibly much faster it is to switch between cities. That action there used to take 45 seconds to a minute in the online mode. So there are definitely some advantages to be gained by switching to offline mode, even if you don't have a problem with always being online. The game appears better for single player in offline mode, which is, I guess, not unexpected. Okay, I don't know why my other city looks incredibly low resolution, but we'll ignore that for now. I can tell you that the game settings are on max right now. So let's start out by building some roads. Now, one of the problems that people identified in SimCity, apart from the limitation in city size, so these white lines outlining your city, that's it. That is the maximum size your city can ever grow to. It simulates an area 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers. And if you want to expand beyond that, you have to select other cities in the region. You just cannot enlarge this area without hacking the game at all, and even then the hacks are limited in what they let you do. Okay, so let's build some roads here. Coming out from the highway, let's build some residential. One thing that SimCity does well is the road building tools that it gives you. So it is really obvious from these lines, and the cursor snaps to them, what the optimal arrangement of roads is. So if you want to build a grid, standard American city, you can do that. Also, if you want to make something a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, the game does provide tools to make that really easy. So you can create nice curved roads like that, and helpfully, if I just switch back to straight road like this, it shows you and allows you to build the curved roads in an optimal land utilization sort of way. So there are some nice aesthetics to the road building component, which is fortunate because you really can't afford to have any unutilized space because your city just isn't big enough. So residential, you can paint residential along the edges. You can also use control click to paint mass at a time. All of this is existing functionality from the game's launch. Okay, one of the biggest complaints was that citizens in SimCity would always take the shortest route to their destination, even if shortest in terms of distance, even if it was not the fastest. So we can test that, and I'm going to deliberately design a bit of a suboptimal city here just to test that functionality and see whether that's been fixed or see whether that's still the case. So what we might do is create a dirt road going down here, and then we will create some industrial zone. Oops. No, what are you trying to do? Like that. Then maybe that, and like that. It's relatively pretty. Zone it for industry. Okay. And at the moment the Sims have no choice. If they want to get to work in the industrial zone, they have to take this single dirt road here. Let's just accelerate time a little bit so that we can get some citizens moving in. We also probably want basic amenities, so I might just plop them over here. That looks cheap. Okay, one of the things that has been massively simplified in this version of SimCity compared to the original or predecessor games is things like water and power. They just automatically flow wherever your roads are. There's no water building layer or anything like that. Whether you think that's a feature or not is up to you. It makes it simpler, but it also in a way trivializes these systems. So if I run short of water at any point, it's like, oh, just build another water thing anywhere here and you'll be fine. However, there wasn't a whole lot of strategic depth to the water placement in SimCity 4 anyway. You ended up just creating water pipes everywhere, and it only became an issue if you forgot. So it's of limited value removing it, and personally I think the water and sewage changes to run along roads is just fine. Okay. We have citizens that have moved in. We have some industry that's starting to kick together, and we have some citizens that are driving along their cars to get there. So far so good. we might zone some more industry to try and make this traffic here a bottleneck as soon as we can.
Might make this a little bit prettier if I can. Oops, I did not want to do that. That doesn't look right. It really does not want me to build this prettily. Okay, that's my fault rather than the game's. At least it's not as bad as a Total Biscuit Road. Okay, let's just continue zoning this stuff out. Oops, probably didn't want all of that zoned. So I might just use the paint mode and paint it along here, along here, and along there, and along there. Okay. Yeah, our sewage simulator has started to create little blobs of sewage, and at the moment we have no recycling centre or anywhere for it to go, so let's just whip one of these up and we'll pick it over here where no one will ever see it again. Okay, so you can see here the sewage modeling. This is how it was at launch and it still is, and this is a really good demonstration of how modeling for everything in the game works. You can divide almost everything in the game into resource suppliers and resource consumers. So in this particular case with sewage, industrial buildings and residential buildings and commercial buildings are all generators of sewage, and then things like sewage outflow pipes and sewage treatment plants are consumers or users of sewage, and basically every generator will just spit something out next to it and then they will flow to the closest source. So that works reasonably for things like sewage and things like water, which is the opposite. These are generators, small amount of generators and a large amount of consumers. The problem is when it starts to apply to other systems in the game, like jobs. For example, Sims here, this particular sim, or any particular sim, they don't have a fixed job over here. What will happen is every day in the simulation, they will all become consumers of jobs, so they will get out onto the road and start driving or walking or busing, and then they will stop at the very first source of jobs, which is an empty work building. Every day, a different citizen will work at a different job. They just stop at whatever one is closest to them, which is not a realistic way to model a city, and it basically removes an entire layer of strategic depth. So if you want to have, communities of wealthy and lower income areas and commercial and industrial districts, and have the commercial workers live in a particular area compared to the others and everything like that, unfortunately the game does not permit you to do that. That's not the way the simulation works. It's much simpler than that. It's just a supply and demand model. So you don't notice that at first, but after you've invested a whole lot of time into it, it becomes apparent that what you're doing, it's very shallow. So that is still a problem. Okay, anyway, here we have massive traffic problems. We have got a whole lot of citizens that are trying to get home along this dirt road, and it's just not working. It's just not working at all. Traffic jams are here to stay. So what we might do is we'll upgrade this road and this road. You'll see why in a second. What I want to do is make this dirt road the absolute bottleneck to stop my Sims from doing anything else, and it's getting there. So you can see that this one way is already a massive bottleneck, and we'll know that we've succeeded in our goal when it's the same on both lanes. So I'm not really sure why my citizens are driving home from work at 8 in the morning, but
They don't have permanent jobs anyway, so if I click on them, they've just finished work. So all of them have just finished work at 8 AM. Okay. You could argue that maybe that's because the traffic's that bad and they actually left at 5 PM last night. I don't think that's the case, but I'll give the game a benefit of the doubt on that one. I'm trying to create an artificially constrained situation here to show you something, and so that's the price that we pay. Okay. That traffic jam's mostly cleared now, so that's good. Let's let all these citizens return to their homes. One of the problems with this game compared to previous games is the zone allocation doesn't have densities. You just zone for residential, and the citizens of the city choose what density that is. It creates a number of problems. Firstly, there is no way for you to specify, hey, I want this area to be suburbs, I want this area to be, inner city living with apartment blocks. You have to trust in the game's simulation to figure out the optimal density. Sometimes it does, mostly it doesn't. When you can't force, nothing I can do right now will force those houses to go into apartment blocks. I just can't do it. There's no control that the game will give me. All I can do is create optimal conditions, make sure they've got access to fire and police and health and education, and wait. And usually, and this is something that really kills it for me, and this has never been fixed since the game was launched, density won't start to increase until every available space on the map's been used. So because there wouldn't be so much of an issue, except the constraints on the city size are so small, you end up fighting the game's limitations, and once you get to a mature city, you'll be in a situation where residential density is higher, you've used every available square of city, and the games just keep constantly telling you, build more residential, and you just can't, and because there is no space, you end up using every available square in your city, and that's frustrating. You can, at that point, your only option is to go to another plot in the region and just build residential there. It's just not rewarding. That's not what I wanted from a SimCity game, and fundamental issues like that have never been addressed. Okay, these Sims have all apparently they've never gone back to work, so it's now 5 PM at night. No one has tried travelling back to work yet, so good for them. While we wait, we might as well build more residential just to make the traffic problem worse. Make it this way, just to be a little bit different. Oh, I can't build there because it would cross the water. I guess that's fair enough. It's not exactly what I want it to look like. I have to compromise my artistic vision here. That just looks weird. I don't know why it wants me to build that. That looks extremely weird. I'm not going to do that. I might just build a straight line in here. No, that would destroy too many houses. This will do. Three-way junction. That looks awkward enough. Okay, we will zone all of that for residential as well. And what's he complaining about? Oh, I need more workers. Well, that shouldn't be a problem very long. I'm not sure exactly why I need more workers, since all of these places are running correctly. Oh no, he does need workers. Okay. Seems legit. What do you want? Okay. A church. Nah. No thanks. Okay, they are starting to want basic services now the city has grown enough, so just chuck a quick medical centre down there. And may as well do a fire department while I'm at it. And maybe a grade school as well. Okay, that makes citizens happy in its extremely small area of the city. However, all you need to do is plop down bus stops and everyone else automatically becomes happy, immediately gaining the benefit of the bus stops. And honestly, the buses, I've not observed that they try to follow a route at any time. And it doesn't matter if they do or not anyway, to be perfectly honest. All you need to do is have it there and you gain the benefit of it automatically. Okay. For some reason, the single dirt road to every job in the entire city is not a traffic congestion problem yet. And that's because most of my Sims are working in the other cities, so possibly my mistake for trying to test this not in a completely brand new region. But sooner or later, lack of access to workers in this whole area will become a problem. And I could probably try and exacerbate that by putting commercial zones there as well, because then they'll try and shop there. Now look, they're all desperately short of people. And okay, we now have traffic problems. That was easy. Alright, now we'll just borrow some money. And what we'll do now is we'll build a supermassive highway. One thing I do like that it does appear to be a new feature, at least I don't remember it from launch, is you can elevate your highways. And if you build them high enough like that, then you can build under them as well. That is cool, I do like that. So what we'll do is I'll build a nice curving highway. Not exactly like that though. I want to freehand it to make sure that it's clearly slightly longer. Wow, it's going to be ugly. It doesn't want to let me build it in a pretty curve, but that's okay. Okay. Now, that is going to be at peak hour, if I can ever get peak hour to happen. Clearly a faster way into town for most of my Sims, especially if I start upgrading the roads around the avenue. So that after coming on the avenue, Sims can get there where they want to go a lot faster than this dirt road. However, not a single car has used it. And they appear to be just fine with their single dirt road at this stage. They really want bus services because of the traffic problems. While my 6-lane highway there is completely untouched. I'm not 100% sure if this is game breaking yet because, you know, traffic even on the dirt road isn't particularly high. But if I create a whole lot of additional land all at once, and I've just stopped caring about it looking pretty now, I'm just trying to demo it. Then this should cause a large influx of trucks and new development. No one will take the superhighway. The dirt road is just fine. Everybody is incredibly short of workers still though, so I will try and put more and more workers in there. It looks like at this stage this problem has not been fixed, which is a real shame. Apologies to anybody for whom this road layout is slowly destroying their soul. Normally I'm right there with you. You know, if I was a citizen, maybe I wouldn't want to drive along that road either. It doesn't look particularly safe. I mean, one of the cool things about having those elevated tracks, which I'm pretty sure is a new feature, is that you can build things underneath them, or at least in theory, although you have to have roads going underneath them, I guess, to put them next to. But that is cool. Okay. Oh my god, some citizens are using that highway. They have actually fixed the pathing. It looks like there is about an equal traffic delay on both routes. Yes, okay. They have fixed that traffic issue. Citizens now appear to take a moderately intelligent path so that that white car there will hopefully get to his destination at about the same speed as that red car. Or not, as the case may be, but okay, they are splitting their traffic along both routes. Well done, that's a definite enhancement. Okay, so now I've shown you that, because this was not the case at the start of the game. This road would just remain completely unused forever, while everyone took the dirt road. Let's show you a more developed city and see what happens with it. So if we jump into region mode, and gosh, this is so much faster now that it's offline. Okay. There are other fixes as well. There were some game-breaking bugs at launch. For example, with recycling centres, you could share them with your neighbouring cities, but if you collected recycling from a neighbouring city and brought it back, it could never be processed. So you would end up with recyclables here just maxing out. They were unable to be turned into any products, and so your recycling centre became useless. Almost the instant that you tried to help somebody out. That is now fixed, I'm pleased to say, so that works. However, the economy itself, it's still mind-blowingly simple. There's no depth to it, and things like recycling centres are ridiculously profitable. So technically, my city should not even be profitable at all. I can turn these taxes right down. I only put them up so that low-income citizens wouldn't feel welcome, and especially low-wealth industry would not feel welcome in my city because of pollution. But in theory, I can turn these almost completely off and run my city heavily in the red, and it doesn't even matter because my recycling centre alone produces enough alloys, metals and plastics to power this processing factory and this consumer electronics factory, which is then exported, and it's enough to run the rest of my city at a loss. Those of you who are familiar with how recycling actually works, yeah, that's not the case. So products and trading are ridiculously profitable, and it just means that the game still has issues. The simulation components, like things like power, work really well. Water and sewage treatment for the most part works really well, but it's just not enthralling enough to hold you. There's no challenge to balancing things. You don't have to micromanage the exact amount of funding that you put into things like education and health like you did in SimCity 4. It's too easy. There is no... You have to screw up quite badly in order for your city to fail. The other part that is really, really irritating is that the cities that you build are not designed for you to run them forever. They have finite amounts of resources like coal and oil and even water, and once they're gone, your city is no longer useful. Like you may as well just create a new city because you can't do anything with that city anymore. It can't run itself. So that's a bit of a fundamental problem with the game, to be honest. Another problem is pollution. So when I first created the city, there was a sewage outflow here, and there is no way to ever remove that. So I've tried things like parks, walkways, anything. No, any pollution to your city is totally, fundamentally permanent. That will never, like, yeah, your cities are just not designed to be sustainably run, which is really, really frustrating. In conclusion, they have fixed some of the game-breaking bugs that were associated with this game. At launch, offline mode is a definite improvement, and the fact that you can't accidentally screw up your entire production line processes by offering to help a neighbour's city with their recycling, like, that stuff's good. But the simulation itself doesn't have the depth that you need to want to continue to play it, unfortunately. If you haven't played it up until now, or if you have played it and you're wondering if it's worth playing again, my answer has to be no. And to be honest, try waiting for Cities Skylines, which is due out on the 10th of March. From every indication that I can see, it does what this game was supposed to do. So, that's the end of my video on SimCity. I've been Paradise. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, then please like and leave a comment. If you want to see more of these, then please subscribe to the channel. And if you want to leave a comment telling me what video game you want me to look at next. It's a real advantage if I have played it before, so at least I can see when going back what changes are, but anything you want to throw out there, I will definitely consider looking at. Thank you.